Hello, I'm Dr. John Cobin, and I'm running for Congress in South Carolina's 4th District, which includes Greenville, Spartanburg, Union, and northern Lawrence counties. I'm a financial planner, author, columnist, and college professor in economics and public policy. I earned my PhD in public policy and my MA in economics from George Mason University in Virginia. I also have another MA in business economics from the University of California at Santa Barbara. My wife Leslie is a part-time physician and a part-time homeschooling mom. We live in Greer's Sugar Creek subdivision. I have 7 homeschooled children ages 10 through 18, along with a new baby just born on April 19th. I'm running as a pro-life libertarian, but please don't let that party affiliation alarm you. As the information on this DVD will demonstrate, my values are in line with the values of folks who live in the upcountry. For instance, I am delighted to be the only wholly pro-life candidate of the 5 candidates running. The Democrat, Green, and Independent candidates make no bones about their so-called pro-choice stance. And while the incumbent, Bob Inglis, is a nice man who purports to have pro-life leanings and affiliations, his voting record does not support his profession. In December 2005, Bob Inglis showed his true colors by voting in favor of H.R. Bill 3010. That bill provides over $285 million for so-called family planning services, including birth control and abortifacients, as well as funding for Medicaid surgical abortion procedures in cases of rape, incest, or when a woman suffers a physical infirmity that warrants having an abortion in a physician's judgment. The money in this bill includes approximately $60 million to fund the operating budget of Planned Parenthood, the greatest enemy of pro-life advocates. Planned Parenthood is the leading provider of chemical and surgical abortions and pro-abortion counseling in America. I am the only candidate running who would oppose such federal funding of abortion, making me the only wholly consistent pro-life candidate. My passbook, papers, and peer-reviewed journal article also demonstrate my commitment to pro-life policy. In my judgment, human life begins at conception, and all human beings should be considered persons from that point on. Tragedies like rape and incest hardly provide an excuse to take an innocent human life. The state must never be allowed to decide who has a right to life. In the vision of America's founders, rights to life, liberty, and property are fundamental, applying to all human beings equally. When they wrote our founding documents, they understood that these rights existed before the creation of our government. Government is to be a protector of our rights rather than an entity that determines who has these fundamental rights and when. The Roe v. Wade decision was simply wrong to arbitrarily strip away the right to life from certain classes of human beings, the unborn in particular. However, I am not a single-issue candidate. I stand for constitutional limited government, liberty, free market capitalism, private property rights, and the principles set forth in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. I hope we will take a few minutes to review the PowerPoint presentation contained on this disc, which clearly shows both my views and the disappointing voting record of Bob Inglis. Unlike this liberal Republican incumbent, I would exalt an American sovereignty unencumbered by so-called free trade agreements like CAFTA and the FTAA. Unlike Inglis, I reject American involvement with New World Order organizations like the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank, and the World Trade Organization. I deplore eminent domain abuses fostered by treacherous decisions like the Kelo versus City of New London decision, which has weakened American private property rights. Inglis joined the minority in Congress in refusing to censure that decision. I deride the ineffective border and immigration policies of the Inglis-supported Bush administration, which features inaction and continued government failure. I reject left-wing environmentalist policies which are routinely championed by Inglis and other liberals. Some of these extreme policies include promoting the rights of animals over human beings, mandating inefficient alternative fuel and carpooling programs, wasting money on dubious pseudoscience worries like global warming, and prohibiting offshore oil drilling or Alaskan oil drilling, making America more dependent on foreign suppliers and driving up gas prices. I oppose the intrusive universal federal mental health screening and national ID and implantable chip mandates that Inglis has voted for. Finally, unlike Inglis and the Republican majority, I reject irresponsible deficit spending that has produced a staggering national debt of nearly $9 trillion. The Republican spending spree has been used to fund a bloated, huge government, along with spiraling welfare state programs. Just where have all the Reagan conservatives gone? My vision for America, and South Carolina in particular, includes a greater reliance on markets rather than government programs to improve our quality of life. That means genuine free trade and much less regulation and taxes on small business. It also means drastically lowering taxes for all Americans and deeply cutting federal welfare programs, as well as departments that provide goods and services which could more effectively be provided by markets. Moreover, I will stand up for the Second Amendment and states' rights, and I will work to remove all federal incursions into educational choice and family life issues, not the least of which being the defining and licensing of marriage. In short, while the major competitors in this race support big government, high taxes, and continued meddlesome regulation, I will not. You have probably heard of veteran Texas Congressman Ron Paul, who consistently scores highest on both the Conservative Index and various Libertarian surveys of congressional voting records. I admire Dr. Paul very much for his courage and willingness to uphold the principles of the Constitution, limited government, and liberty in the face of great pressure from the Republican Party. He is doing the right thing for his state and for America. If you want another Ron Paul in Congress, I ask that you vote for me, Dr. John Cobin, on November 7th. And please don't worry about wasting your vote. A principled vote is never wasted, and the plain truth is that the Democratic contender is more conservative than Bob Inglis anyway. Indeed, in the July 2006 Conservative Index, Ron Paul scored 100, while Bob Inglis scored only 27, lower than Vermont socialist Bernie Sanders, who got 37, lower than 161 House Democrats, and lower than the entire state delegations to the House of Representatives from Massachusetts and Rhode Island, along with 20 other states' delegations. Instead of voting for a liberal, pragmatic Republican like Bob Inglis, vote for me, a principled candidate with a Christian worldview and a yearning for the vision of America's founding fathers. If I prevail, we will all be better off. And even if the Democrat Bill Griffith prevails, we will still be better off than having Bob Inglis. Although both Inglis and Griffith would alike fund Planned Parenthood, Griffith is better than Inglis because he is less inclined to big government spending. But we need not settle for second best. Principle and truth can win if you make the right decision and vote for me. Your help with my campaign would also be greatly appreciated. Please visit my website, www.cobinforcongress.com. That's www.cobinforcongress.com, or call 864-244-6464 if you are able to volunteer. Your financial support is also appreciated. Even sending a small donation of $10 or $20 to the address on the screen will help us purchase signs and create and mail more DVDs like this one. Inglis has hundreds of thousands of dollars at his disposal, and you can be sure that he will use all of it to stay in office. We need your financial support if we are going to be successful. Thus, if you are with me in principle, I hope you will send in a contribution today. Let's bring Bob home. Working together, we can regain integrity. Vote for me, Dr. John Cobin, for Congress on November 7th. The power of positive change is in your hands.